Welcome to the new season of Love Thy Number. I am so excited to share stories from people who are loving the gift of their own Enneagram numbers. I'm Danae King. I'm a type 7, and I'm so happy to host this conversation with you. Hello? Hello? Is anybody out there? Hello, it's Danae. I'm sorry. Wait, you've always been out there. I'm the one who went into full silent mode. And so I am stepping back into podcasting today. I'm going to sneak back in slowly because y'all, it's been a year. Or as they say, it's been a minute, huh? It's been a long minute. And I just shut down. I quit podcasting several months ago because I was just, as many people were, and maybe still are, just at a loss of what in the world I could say that would have any meaning at this point. There certainly was a lot of noise. There was a lot of yelling and hurting and screaming, and it was unlike anything any of us have ever experienced, as if you didn't already know that. But I gave myself the gift of becoming a part of community, an online community that I will talk about at some other point, but just to say that I am so grateful that I sought out a group of people who wanted to know more about how they could move forward in their lives and share their thoughts together. So I joined it's the Enneagram workshop, Vanessa Fernandez. I'm sure a lot of you already know and follow, but wow, I started with her in October. And so we've done a lot of journaling and group sessions. We meet online 2 times a month, and I am just so grateful for what she's brought to this community. She's a beautiful person. So I will put a link to her, but in case you don't already know and follow her, I'm sure you already do. But anyway, we had a January session that was about risk-taking and goal setting. And that's just not something I regularly do, which might explain why I don't accomplish as many things as I think I'm going to in my mind, which is often the problem with a type 7, is we have all these thoughts and plans and ideas, and we're just so great at starting them. But seeing them through to completion, a lot of times, has been a challenge. I will confess that right here. So I was listening, and this was after we had our group coaching session last night, and we have these journal prompts that Vanessa provides for us. And wow, all of us were like, oh, this really hit us in the heart and exactly where it needed to for each of our different types. And so I've kind of been on this sitting still, which is part of what we've talked about, getting more into silence and in our body and finding out where the discomfort is. And there's a lot of different things that we address in these group coaching sessions. But I thought I would just sit with some of these questions, and I won't share them all with you, but a couple of them really just made me want to think, why? Why have I sat here so long? I think I've told you this story before. I know I've told it on Facebook just to my friends, but one time when my granddaughter, she was like 3, so not really old enough to comprehend what on earth this meant, but she just went and sat down in her little Minnie Mouse chair one day, and she just looked at me and she said, I'm just going to sit in this chair and think about it, which is hilarious coming from the mouth of a 3-year-old who, what is she thinking about? But she had heard that. And I have said through this past year, my husband and I will talk about it. And I said, I think the universe just said, you just need to sit in that chair and think about it. So there's been a lot of thinking going on with a lot of people. And that's a good thing because we can't be as busy as we used to be in some ways. Some ways, people are even busier because they've had to adjust and rethink the way they do regular life and business and schooling. And my gosh, if you're a teacher, bless your heart. And boy, are you more amazing than any of us ever realized. So I was also listening to a podcast this morning. And another person that I bet all of you follow because she's just a gift with her words, with her poetry and her art is Morgan Harper Nichols. Oh my gosh. I know everybody who's listening to this and knows her right now is like, yes, yes. How many of her posts and her pieces of art have you shared on your own Instagrams or your Facebooks? Because they speak to us so deeply. She's an amazing poet, and her poetry is it's just so real. Morgan Harper Nichols, just in case you don't already follow her, do yourself the favor of looking at some of her beautiful words. But I am going to play a snippet from her podcast just from this morning. And again, all of these things, these different things that I've been involved with the Enneagram workshop and the group coaching, with the different podcasts, and sitting in my own chair and thinking for so long, I thought I need to get into what it is that's keeping me afraid from moving forward, from coming out of my podcast silence and just feeling like I'm free to just communicate again. I want to communicate with you, but right now, this is just me today. So listen to these words from Morgan Harper.
There is a way you tell the story that is slightly different from how your siblings tell it. There is a certain shade of blue that speaks to you more than the others. There is a way you phrase the question and a way you hold the pen, and there is a reason you keep listening to that song over and over again. These small things are not fragments. This is your art, and it is all connected. This is all a part of what makes you, you, and all of the richness and beauty and stories waiting to rise up from within you.
Oh my gosh. If any of you love to write like I do, then that just really had to strike a heart chord with you. It really did me, because a lot of what I've done in this time of silence and sitting in this chair and thinking about it, was that I have written. I've just written a lot of random things. I'll start out thinking this is going to be a podcast outline, and then it just gets longer and longer. And then I have another train of thought, and I started writing that, and I've already written like 5,000 words on that. So it's obviously not a podcast, but I don't have it inside of me to go, well, this is a book. And yet I think it's something important that needs to be said. So for right now, I'm just writing. And I got to looking through an old journal, because the truth is, I've always written. And my mom is a writer, my son is a writer. I guess I come from a place of understanding that it's safe to write. It's good to write. Writing gets all of these crazy thoughts that are going on in my head and just gives me a way to push them out of my head and at least get that thought away from the inside of my brain, where it just kind of goes around on that little hamster wheel. So I found this thing that I wrote, and it's been at least 25 years because I know where I was when I wrote it. Gosh, it's been at least that long, maybe closer to 30. So I thought I would just share one of my old writings that I had that actually was just something that happened in my life a lot. And so, of course, it became just a little blurb. I don't even think we had blogs back then. So it was just something I wrote, typed it out, printed it out, and put it in my journal. But this one cracked me up when I came across it today. So if you'll bear with me, I will read you a story. And it's entitled, And the Winner Is. So I think my fascination with winning began about my freshman year of high school when I was at a party with a group of classmates and we wanted to hear a particular song. I suggested that we call the radio station and ask if they would play it. It sounded like a great idea and everyone thought it was, but since it was my idea, I was the one elected to make the call. I dialed the number of the radio station. The nighttime disc jockey answered and said, "Hi, you're the 13th caller. What's your name?" I was taken quite by surprise and I replied, "Danae, why?" He said, "You just won the album to the rock opera Jesus Christ Superstar." But I just called to request a song. I didn't even know there was a contest going on, I told him. "Well, looks like you're the lucky one tonight," he said. My immediate thought was, cool. What did you expect? I was in the 9th grade. Although, come to think of it, that would still probably be my reaction. Lucky. I was lucky. I became sort of hooked on radio contests. Through the years, I have won numerous concert tickets, an all-expense-paid trip to Jamaica, a laptop computer, tickets to the theater, a signed poster by artist Peter Max, T-shirts out the wazoo, dinner at Planet Hollywood, a year's membership to a health club, albums, which then became cassette tapes, and then they became CDs, and on the list goes. I remember one time they were giving away tickets to the Atlanta Braves baseball game, and all I had to do was be the 25th caller to win. I really didn't want to win the tickets, and even if I won them, I knew I wouldn't be able to go to that particular weekend, but I was compelled to try and be the right caller. Well, naturally, my friends say, I was the 25th caller. When the DJ answered, I didn't quite know what to do, so I just said, "I don't really want the tickets. I just wanted to see if I could win." And I hung up. Is that crazy or what? I love winning. People began asking me on a regular basis what I had won that week. My children's friends at school would greet me in the carpool line with, "Heard you on the radio this morning. You're the luckiest person." The station I listened to regularly changed their rules a couple of years ago, limiting the number of times a person could win to once a month. And if the prize was valued at over $500, you had to wait 6 months before winning. I feel certain they made that rule because of me. What I found so surprising was the number of times people told me how lucky I was. "How do you win all the time?" I was asked frequently. I told them I picked up the phone and dialed and kept dialing until they had a winner. "Man, I can never win anything," I heard over and over again. So I began asking, "Do you try?" "Well, no, not really," was the most common answer. So what's the point? Luck really has nothing to do with the number of times I won. Persistence was the key. I listened for the cue to call, and when it was time, I didn't give up until the game was over. I have lost many more times than I have won, but that never caused me to give up. I knew I would have another opportunity, and then I would try again. How many ways do we give up? Okay, I'll stop reading my little story right there because you get the point. It's about not giving up, not stopping when something gets in your way. Hey, we've all taken that big time out this past year, sat in our chairs, thought about it, planned some more, did whatever it was that we needed to see, wait a minute, where do I want to go with this? For me, I love doing this podcast. I may have taken a time out, but I can guarantee you, I have spent a lot of time thinking about how I can improve myself, where my roadblocks are, and what I can do to enhance this podcast, my life, and the community that I'm around. And more importantly, the relationships that I am a part of every day. So I plan to keep podcasting, at least for the foreseeable future, until, I don't know, maybe I write that book of mine. I might actually get out a couple of my old writings just to share with you, because some of them are hilarious. I do hope and I do believe that over the past 25 years, I've improved in my writing. And why wouldn't I? My life experiences have expanded. I hopefully have gained more wisdom and something to share that has more depth. And that's what this is all about. All of our stories are about sharing with each other, having something that's relatable to somebody else who might be experiencing what you are, or needs to hear the path that you've walked down. A lot of times people just want to know what they're going through, somebody else understands. So I look forward to more conversations. I definitely plan to have more actual conversations with people on this podcast, because that's half the fun, is sharing the energy that we get in real conversation. Woo, haven't we all missed that, except Zoom conversations, which are not the same. I cannot wait till we can get together in person. So I am excited about stepping back into the podcast waters again. Thank you so much for those of you who are so kind to me and supportive in when I stumble across my words and when I can't remember what it was I was going to say. But for right now, I need to go because 10th caller wins passes to Six Flags. I'm kidding, but don't give up. Never give up. Talk to you soon.